You are meant to, in this moment, in this void, hold so firmly onto the vision of the future that no matter what, you know exactly where you're going. You are meant to experience this confusion right now, this, unknown, this feeling of being a bit like lost and a bit like a giant question mark, especially when other people look at your life and they reflect your life back to you from their own lens. You are meant to know exactly that vision of the future so strongly, even when there's doubt, even when there's chaos, even when the question mark is so big and you're like, how is it going to happen? I've been tapping into Neville Goddard. I always get Neville and Napoleon mixed up, but because I got it mixed up, I was like, oh, I should learn a bit more about Neville. Hold on, let me get the dog to be quiet. We have this dog here on the farm in Ireland who just like barks at everything and will bark for hours on hours on hours. And so once he gets started, he will not stop. But my brother just, I think he's entertaining him for the moment. But I dove into Neville Goddard, yeah. And pretty much like the teachings are similar to Napoleon, but like anything with manifestation and, leaping into the desired timeline and having these influxes of, everything that you've ever desired come in like all at once, pretty much. It's holding that vision so strong. And so we keep talking about the void mostly because I am experiencing the void in a new lens. Like I've been in the void before. We go through many different seasons of being in voids because we're always leaping. We're always changing timelines. We're always transitioning in one way or another. Like we're experiencing so many different dimensions and realities and timelines all at once, if that makes sense. I think that it will with a lot of you. And so when we're in this void here, it's about surrender. It's about digging deep. It's about trust, and it's about holding the vision so strong. And because you'll be, in this unknown, if it's like a big leap that you're in, there are going to be so many opinions of like what is the best thing to do, where you're really meant to go. And, people will step in because they want to help you. They want to give you advice. And that is all beautiful, and maybe that is divine intervention. Maybe that is your guides coming through and like being the messengers, especially if you're asking for that. But maybe that is also a moment for you to go deeper into your knowing of your own path and where you're meant to go and what you want and why you're in the void in the first place. The void happens because we decide we want a different reality. We go into, our heart and into our mind in agreement and unity, and we say, I choose this reality. I choose to bring this forward. And sometimes it's a conscious thing, but sometimes it's also not. Like Abraham Hicks talks about how when you experience what you don't want, you create what you do want. So it's like there's a stick, and on the other end of the stick of what you don't want is what you do want. And so in that moment of noticing something that you don't like in your reality, like something that makes you uncomfortable, something that you don't like having lack or having, negativity in your life, or like, driving a car that's gold. I don't know, like what you experience, what you don't want, then you create in some timeline within the quantum field, which is infinite timelines, the reality that you do desire. And so by then focusing on, gratitude, focusing on the things that you do want, focusing on building momentum in the light, in the direction that you want to go, like keeping that vision strong, moving towards it, acting in alignment with it, acting in alignment with the version of you who has everything that you are calling in, then, those realities start coming to you. So whether you chose the opposite of a gold car or not, even though there is no opposite, but it serves the purpose of the example, you will eventually go into that leap to that timeline. And, if it's something small, like the gold car, then there'll be maybe a small void. But if there's something big, like a whole new timeline, a whole new, like meeting your soulmate, the person that you're going to create a life with, have kids with, if you're, if it's the timeline of like your business taking off and like the whole, like that being the foundation of the rest of your life, like those are really big things. And so sometimes the void is going to be a little bit bigger and a little bit more chaotic. And you might find yourself in a broken down van in a country that is not your home country, and so that's my example because that's my life right now. But in this moment, it's like there are so many things that are taken away in these voids, so many things that fall apart, so many relationships that just like kind of fall off or don't work out, or like there's a lot of like miscommunication. especially if there's like Mercury retrograde, or other things involved. But at the same time, I think that everything is one and the same. And so that Mercury retrograde could have been like divinely timed to be at the same time as you being in the void. And so therefore the communication is then off sometimes. And then it creates this space for you to go deeper and say, even in this confusion, even in this conflict, even in this chaos, I know who I am. I know where I'm going. I know I am here. And that takes so much courage. That takes so much self-trust. And that takes really, like, I'm seeing like, it's like you're in the gym, like you're building the muscle of the self-concept of who you need to be in order to be in that timeline. And in order to leap into that version of you, you have to have this self-concept of, who you are in that, and to not question that. And sometimes, going to the depths of the void, often, well, almost every time, that's the purpose of the void, it will help, it will get you to a place of surrendering, and then waking up to, I'm getting a phone call, hopefully that didn't pause, but waking up to that potential that you've always had within you, and embracing that, and stepping into that, and claiming that. And as you claim that, it's like you start to sprout up as the seed. We've been talking about the seed. So, you're rooting down, you're experiencing all these lessons, you're getting the lessons, the nutrients from your roots that you've created, and then eventually you sprout up. You sprout up when you're ready. You sprout up when you've built yourself up like the phoenix rising. You've like gathered all that you need to gather. You know who you are, and you go up to the surface, up to meet everything that you've ever desired. It's the opposite of the gold car, up on the surface, whatever it is that you truly desire up there. Which is funny, like I never really see gold cars anymore, but we always had gold cars growing up, or at least I remember a gold car and seeing lots of gold cars, but it's not really the thing anymore. So anyway, that's the message that was on my heart today. And I've been moving through this in such an interesting way. There was like a deep surrender before the full moon where I was feeling like super emotional. It was also like, cycle related, and full moons can be very intense. The eclipses are going on right now, this eclipse season. And so it's a very powerful time right now. But today, and also I was getting really sick. This is like one of those things that's, divine timing, but I was feeling very, very off. Like I had some level of POTS, like when I was going through my chronic illness. There's Rover again, but we'll wrap it up. And POTS, if you don't know, it's like this condition where, you pretty much like have really low blood pressure, and your heart rate spikes, and like when you stand up, it's like you feel like you're gonna pass out, and then out of nowhere you're like sitting and you're just about to pass out. So I was feeling that, and my brother just got here a few days ago, and we were in the car, and I was like, I can't even keep my eyes open. I was like, I don't feel well. And so we were talking, when I told him that, he's like, maybe you need to drink more water. And then at first I was like, ugh. And then I thought about it, and I was like, the water. So I've been drinking well water here, and I've been filtering it, thinking like, oh, well water's great. But I forgot I had tested it, and it's like at the very high end, like the highest end on the chart of this read of alkalinity and pH and carbonate. And so, it could be much higher than what's actually on the test strips. And when I was reading about that can mess with your mineral balance in your body. And so when I had my near-death experience, which I've talked about a few times, but when I had my near-death experience, it was related to a mineral and electrolyte imbalance, and like my sodium was at like an extreme low, like the deadly level of low, I forget the number, and potassium and other ones were really low. And so I was starting to feel like that. And so that was also bringing up emotions, because I was like, feeling a fear of that, and like feeling some confusion, feeling my muscles kind of like weak. I was like, oh my God, what's going on? So yesterday, my brother gave me some of his water. We got more water. I added salt water, lemon. Today I woke up, was like so much better. And it's interesting because I love having as well this Aura ring, and it's not sponsored. I'm right. It's not sponsored. We'll get to that later. But I really love having the data because, I've been waking up and seeing my heart rate spiked. My HRV has been super low. But today, my ring was actually dead last night. So I don't know what happened last night. But I felt much better. And I imagine my HRV was much higher. And HRV is like your recovery, your heart rate variability. And so, yeah, very interesting experience to go through in the void. But we're back, and I started cleaning out the shed. I can show you guys a little bit. I don't know if you can actually see, but like it's a project that my brother and I are working on where we're cleaning out the shed. We're going to make it into like a little clubhouse, hangout area, seated area, gym, put some turf down. And then like I was playing the song that was just nonstop when I was in Bali, and it's like na 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 na. It's by Peggy or something. I don't know. It's called something with na 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 na, I think. But anyway, I was playing that as we were cleaning it out and like holding that vision so strong of like it's gonna be nice to have a little seated area. I don't know the plan. I need to get a new van, like I was telling you guys in the last video, and then eventually I'd like to get back to Italy to see Ladybug and Zima and Indy and everybody there, the humans too. And then maybe in the winter go down to Portugal or Greece and work down there where it's a bit warmer. The winter was pretty cold on the farm in Italy. It'll be very cold here too in Ireland. Or I would also like to be in Switzerland for the winter, but it's very, very cold, so that wouldn't work in the van. So that would have to require another plan. We'll see. There's so much in the air. Who knows what I'm going to sprout to after this void. So if you're in the void, let me know in the comments how your void experience is going, what's happening for you, if you can relate to this at all. If you don't know what to say, just go ahead and put a wolf. I love seeing the wolves. It's just like there's something about it. Every time I see your wolf comment, your wolf emojis, it just like lights a fire in my soul. I don't know. There's something about wolves for me. So I love you guys. Thank you for being here. If you want to join me in my 21-day programs, my newest one is 21 Days to Wildly Wealthy. So that focuses on the wealth wound and healing the wealth wound, which is really your worthiness wound. And that helps with your self